Good morning. This is going to be the Taurus reading. It's funny how I start off my week because, I do my videos. It takes all of my videos. It takes me about 2 weeks to make, but really, like the very beginning of when I start making videos, I always start with Scorpio first. Excuse me, my allergies are a little rough this morning. I start with Scorpio because I'm a Scorpio, and so that always comes first. And then then I do Sagittarius because my divine partner slash twin flame, he is a Sagittarius, so I do that one second. Then I do Taurus third, and the reason why I do Taurus third is because I had the most amazing soulmate slash lover who was a Taurus. So now I'm like, I like Tauruses a little bit. I like their energy, just because that was really an amazing experience for me. And there really was a lot of learning and a lot of growth. And people come into our lives for a reason, to teach us things. And that's the reason why it's real important to stay detached. And, I'm hoping he watches this video because I haven't talked to him for a while, but he does know I have this channel, and I have shared my Taurus videos before. But anyhow, let me go ahead and get started before I get embarrassed. I have the Page of Pentacles, and the energy that I got from this card right away was the universe is trying to give you a gift. And the gift, if you'll be open to receive it, is self-mastery, self-discovery. And this has kind of been a theme that's been coming up in my videos lately, because I'm telling you, when you master yourself and you have that self-discovery where you really know who you are, like on every level, and you clear out any type of fear, anything blocking you that's standing in the way of what your heart desires. It's such an amazing feeling. It's way better than any relationship could ever be. The relationship with yourself, and I'm talking about a true relationship with yourself, is just the most amazing, magical energy ever. I had gone from relationship to relationship to relationship until I took time off, and I was like, look, I really need to find myself. And, the past 3 years, the spiritual journey that I have been on, the twin flame journey that I've been on, all of that's happened and then some. And so the point that I'm getting at is that the universe wants you to have that amazing feeling. And you'll never make it to an end stop. Like, you can't say, oh, I'm there, because when you say, oh, I'm there, I've done all the work I'm going to do, I'm just absolutely perfect in every way. That is from the ego. Because you know what? The soul wants to always grow and expand. That's the reason why someone who is stuck in like a dead-end marriage or dead-end job, will do some, crazy shit sometimes. And, we judge it and we're like, oh man, they had, a midlife crisis. No, it's just that they were so stagnant and their soul felt so stuck that it created a scenario to where there could be more growth. That's the reason why we need to stop, not judge situations. Sometimes we'll be like, oh, like I had a situation earlier this year that happened to me, and I knew enough to know that it was being divinely guided and that it happened for a reason. And it seemed really, really bad at the time, as when I lost my job and stuff. But there was so much growth as a result. And I was able to really face different shadow aspects of myself. And the reason why I'm sharing this story is because it's one of the messages that's coming out. And it's actually like a twofold message. But I've always been very materialistic. And the reason why is because when I was a child, my mom and my grandfather, who took turns raising me, were not very warm and fuzzy. So they showed me love by buying me stuff. And so material goods always gave me comfort. They always made me feel good. I've always been one of these impulsive shoppers. Like, retail is like a real bad addiction for me. Where if I'm feeling bad, that's what I do is shop. That's why I don't ever give me credit cards, because I do not do well with them. Because I'm an emotional shopper. And this is something I've worked on, because, when you get to the point where you have everything stripped away from you and you were down to the basics, and it's you and yourself, facing yourself, the real you, without all of the shit, without all of the things, because you got to be able to get to the place where you are the same soul, whether or not you live in a mansion or whether or not you live out on the streets and you're pushing a shopping cart. You are the same soul. Whatever you have, whatever you own, whatever you do for a living, any of that, whatever clique or group or club you belong to, anything like that is not you. That's not you. That's not who you truly are. You've got to realize that, you are a physical, you're in a physical body, but you are a divine being. You're a soul first and foremost. And once you do that and you realize that you're not your body, nobody is their body, you can really connect to that gift that the universe is trying to give you, the gift of self, of really truly knowing yourself. Because you might really think that you know yourself, but what would happen, if you lost everything you owned next week? Would it take away from who you are? All of a sudden you wouldn't have any self-worth anymore? And so that message is coming up, and that's the reason why I shared my story about my retail addiction. Okay, we have rainbow blessings. And so these are those blessings that are coming your way. But you have to look at it objectively. And the reason why I'm saying this is money is energy. We can create money anytime we want to. Money is called currency for a reason. I say this all the time. And so you have to set money aside, because yes, we need money, but you can create money anytime you want to by focusing your energy, focusing your intentions on it. It really does work. But you need to check in with yourself and see what your blessings really are. See if you can start finding things to be grateful for that do not involve material goods. This is really, getting out, connecting to nature, waking up in the morning and being like, you know what, I woke up this morning. I'm on a brand new timeline, brand new energy. Open your windows, sage your home, take you a salt bath, clear your energy, and be ready for a brand new cycle to come in. Because life is nothing more than simulated events that we're simulating. Understand, you're in the fifth dimension. You are that divine being, and you are simulating. It's almost like your puppet master to your 3D self. I tend to, sometimes look at it as a video game. And my 3D self is just an avatar on the screen, and I've got, the hand controller. So if you can do that, you can start being grateful for things, for experiences. If you can, make it through an experience or some sort of event or even a conflict that's happened, and be like, look, I'm grateful for that lesson, because you know what? I learned so much from it. Therefore, it was not a mistake. We have the World card. And this is all about how you see your world. And this involves how you see, it's your ideology is what's coming up for me. Different self-limiting beliefs. And it has to do with self-esteem. You may feel like you feel very good about yourself. But there's a message coming through that I'm channeling, that there's something there that makes you feel insecure and makes you want to seek other people's approval. And so do check in with yourself and see what that is. A lot of times when we seek approval, that energy, that is from our ego, and it's very, very sneaky, and it feeds so subtly. You want to starve your ego out. You don't want to feed it, because when you feed it, it's a monster that never gets full. So it's almost like putting the ego in the back seat. But do really check for any time, and intention is everything. In everything that you do, be mindful of what your intention is. And ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I want other people to approve of me? Because I care how other people feel? And you would be surprised how subtle that energy is, and how subtle it sneaks in there. Because I have that this is one of your blocks right now, is needing that. And it's got to do, like I said, with some subtle aspects of your self-esteem. Because I feel like Tauruses, for the most part, are very, very comfortable with themselves, and they usually have very high self-esteem. I've said it before, most Taurus women are very, very beautiful. Love beautiful things. Love anything beautiful whatsoever. It's just a beautiful sign, because you're ruled by the planet Venus and Athena, and beauty. But what I'm getting is that there's still something there, and it's very subtle, but do look for it. Usually people do look up to you, and they're like, wow, here she's just amazing. But make sure that's not something that you're feeding off of. That message just came through. We have, I didn't look this card up. I'm going to read this one intuitively. But I've got two different messages here. One, I feel like with this mountain, it has to do with faith. Because faith can literally move mountains. Because whatever it is that you believe to be true is true. I had a message come up for me yesterday. It was a block that I found with myself. It was a story that this shit's crazy as hell. I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about it, because me and my divine partner live in separate states, and we've been on this journey together now for 3 years. And sometimes I'll get real fearful that, because I'm not going there. I'm an Indiana girl. I'm very tied to Indiana. I really sense very strongly the Native American spirits here. We have muddy rivers and streams and bodies of water, and I'm just so connected here, and it's a soul connection, and I can't describe it. So I've always been very scared that he won't come here, because he hasn't yet, and that I know I'm not going there. So, the fear came up yesterday, and it's come up for me before that. Look, we've come as far as we can go. Like, where do we go from here? Because neither one of us will give in. And so the message that came up was, you're trying to move this mountain with your mind, trying to figure out how it's going to all work out. But how about you work on the fact that you have issues with where he lives at, because you had childhood trauma there, and that here in Indiana I have very strong connections, because it's always been a sense of comfort, because this is where my grandfather was. I had good times here, that I wasn't struggling, I wasn't impoverished, I wasn't hungry, I wasn't abused, and so I have associated with the places this trauma. Which really is crazy if you think about it, that you could associate trauma with a place when the place had nothing to do with it. And so I was able to really look at that. And basically, the downloads of clarity that I got was, that is the key to bridging the distance, is not sitting up and worrying about how it's going to happen, but really looking at why you're stuck. And clearing that. So, because people are perfect mirrors. So as, he was like being real obstinate about coming here. I feel like the reason why is because I won't leave here. So he feels some kind of way about the place. So when I discovered that, I was like, well, I feel some kind of way about where he lives. and he feels some kind of way about where I live. But yet I feel some kind of way about where I live because it's comforting. And I'm always teaching and I'm always talking about the fact that nothing and nobody should be able to make you feel one way or another. So wasn't that a perfect lesson for me in contrast? Like, isn't that crazy? Like, you see how that all played out, how that lesson, how that whole demo played out? Because nothing and nobody should make me feel some kind of way because I have my own power. But you see how subtle that block was? So that is the energy I'm getting with this card. Instead of logically trying to think of how to move this mountain, think about what blocks there are to whatever it is you're trying to manifest. And it starts with you because it's in your mind, because everything that you want is on the other side of fear. So imagine these mountains. You're on this journey and these mountains are all your whole mountain of fears. And fears can be all kinds of things. Fears can be, different insecurities. Fears can be, if somebody makes you feel some kind of way and you love that and you're scared they're not, they're going to take that away from you. So you have a certain amount of passion. So passion can even be a fear too. Because, like I said, you get dependent on that feeling. And so that is the energy I'm getting with this card. But wasn't that story I told really crazy? I cleared that shit just yesterday. And I'm like, that is wild. How I had that whole lesson in contrast to duality and all these other things. But, look for patterns like that. It's always a repeating pattern. Something repeats and repeats until you actually look at it and you're like, I can get out of this cycle of wash, rinse, repeat, this loop I've been stuck in. 10 of Wands. This is the ending of a cycle. And this is a spiritual cycle. And I have literally talked about this in almost all my videos so far this week. The journey that you are on, because if you are watching my videos, you're obviously on a spiritual journey, because otherwise none of this shit would resonate with you. You would be way too low vibrational to even grasp what I'm talking about, because I am higher vibrational, and my channel has morphed more from being a psychic than into being a spiritual teacher, because for like each sign, it's like I can like channel the energy of each sign and really detect what kinds of things that you're going through and what types of blocks. And so with this, if you can imagine the journey that you're on, instead of being a straight line, it cycles, almost like you're doing cartwheels. So instead of, you journeying like this, imagine you doing cartwheels, and each cartwheel is a cycle. And so this here is the ending of a spiritual cycle. And I feel very strongly like, maybe you've had some aha moments lately. Maybe something's happened. You've been like, maybe thought about something that I've said. And so now and that has to happen. Like, the energy that I'm getting is sometimes we can hear something. We can hear it, we can hear it, we can hear it. Until we actually experience it, we actually see it firsthand, and then we're like, oh my goodness. And that is how spiritual awakening works. It's like you get just like a tidbit of information, and then you have that aha moment later. So what I'm getting here is that aha moment, like, give me more. And you have to want more. And be real careful, to not get your information from, and I know I'm contradicting myself, but I want you to only take what resonates with what I say. Just be real careful about getting your spiritual information off the internet or from books, because, for, that matter, I feel like, that's no different than being a Christian and reading the Bible, because you have to make sure that you check out the information and you actually connect to source yourself. And don't be spoon-fed is the information I'm getting. Lovers. And as soon as I pulled this card, I automatically thought about a choice between lovers. And I feel very strongly like somebody from the past has came in, or they are coming in. This is going to be a past connection. And it's going to be something that someone you had gotten attached to. And maybe it scared you and it didn't work out for whatever reason because you weren't ready for that type of connection. So I feel like that connection might be coming back around. And when it does, it's going to disrupt what you've got going on right now. So do prepare for this, because there's a lot of karmic patterns coming to an end. And this could be a cycle that you've been stuck in, something that's come in to show you something. And so do look at it, and look for the lesson. And like I said, sometimes lessons are subtle, and sometimes you miss it for a long time. Like I've had that same demo playing over and over again. I was ready to see past the illusions and see the truth in the situation. And breathing is secondary. Don't forget to think. A good manifesto is foremost legible. Reconsider your concept of small versus big. The message that I had channeled, because I'll sit and meditate before I do a card reading. I'll pull the cards and I'll sit and meditate, and I'll really connect to my spirit guide. And I've got several spirit guides that actually help me with my my readings. One is Dr. George, who I talk about all the time. But this particular reading, I had channeled Santa Marta la Dominadora. She's my goddess, patron saint. And so she is who's helping me with my reading right now. And so I had tapped into her earlier and to channel, and I was like, okay, what kinds of messages? And the main message that had came up for these cards was that you still are not connected to your feelings. You have a fear of being hurt again, so you have stuffed your feelings. You have refused to open your heart back up. And so this is a major block right now, because you are keeping love out. Yes, you think you're protecting yourself, but you're keeping yourself from having, amazing connections with others, something that's not so superficial. And you came here to experience experiences, human experiences, and so you have. It's all being divinely guided, and those feelings are not going to kill you. So you need to work through that fear of being hurt again and of, expressing your feelings. So when it says don't forget to think, you're thinking too much. You're overthinking and you're being too logical, because this card to me just screams logic. And so you need to set the logic aside and you need to go more from your heart and start feeling instead of being so logical. Eight of Pentacles. And I believe this has been a theme for you also, Taurus. Do not be scared for things to get messy. Everything is not going to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Because who determines what is perfect anyway? Imagine you have like a whole box of objects, and maybe they're different colors, or maybe they have numbers or letters on them, and you have boxes, and so you organize them all out, and you categorize them by shape or whatever. Human beings want to label everything. We want to figure stuff out. We want it to fit inside a perfect box. But this is conformity. And with conformity comes limited freedom and limiting beliefs, because it's not expansive enough. And so that could be some of the small versus big too, where you're limiting. And so things can get messy sometimes. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be categorized or judged. Everything that happens, just start telling yourself it is what it is. And stop trying to attribute meaning to it, because when you do that, you're creating stories that you're telling yourself. And what happens when you tell yourself stories? Boom, before you know it, you have a whole reality that you have created in your mind. So clear your energy. Salt baths and sage. Nature walks. Whom do you need to forgive? As you release old anger and resentment, you will find your wishes will come true. This is a major block. And so I do feel like those blocked feelings where you're scared you're going to get hurt again, that you're still holding on to a lot of animosity and a lot of hurt against somebody else. And it's this person who's hurt you. You know, and it could be this person that's coming back in too. This choice right here. It could be this person that's returning, or it could be their energy. You know, their energy is coming back in for you to clear. You know, they may not physically be coming in, but it's their energy. You know, I'm sensing that you're too caught up in the past. So you need to practice being present. And how do you practice being present? You practice being present by not worrying about the past, releasing any type of old ties, cutting cords with people. And you can do that by meditating, imagining a pair of scissors and cutting this cord between you and this person. Because we form attachments to people, especially if there's been, you know, a sexual relationship. That's how we form cords. That's why you need to be very careful, you know. I'm not taking away from casual sex, but, you know, you form a cord, an attachment with people whenever you have sex with them. So be very careful who you swap energy with. That message has come up. We have the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords is all about cutting away. But I feel like more than cutting away people or situations, this is more clearing out those fears and that pain that you have. And in order to do that, you need to really feel it. You need to feel your way through this. This is not something you can think your way through. And so really take a look at the situation that you had with this person. Forgive yourself, because if it was a situation where maybe you didn't have boundaries, or, you know, you let them maybe walk all over you, and, you know, maybe you got some forgiving of yourself too. But you got to realize that, like I said before, there are no mistakes. There's only more room to grow and to learn. I forgot the Sun card. I don't know how I forgot it, but it's being divinely guided, so I'll get to that here in a minute. I'm unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. And so when you take your power back from other people by forgiving them, but you don't forgive other people, you don't apologize to people or forgive people for them. You do that for you so that you can move on from the situation. If you think about, like, the next time you have a conflict with somebody, let it go, release it. As soon as it's over with, release it. Don't try to figure out why it happened. Don't try to figure out anything about it, because when you do, you assign meaning to it. And you know what? Once you assign meaning to it, guess what? That's what it becomes, because that's what you believe. Don't you believe that? Like, once you sit and you try to figure out, you know, like, why was this person an asshole? You know, what was going on? Oh, well, maybe... Or, like, for example, like, if you're seeing somebody and you haven't heard from them for a while, and you're like, man, maybe they're just so into me that they're scared to talk to me. So when you tell yourself that, guess what? That becomes the whole truth. That becomes what it was. So basically the message that I'm getting is... do this to clear your energy, clear your thoughts, stop creating scenarios, and know that whatever you focus your energy on is going to grow. And so be mindful of the stories you're telling yourself, because you believe them. I mean, I could sit you right here and pull all these cards and tell you all kinds of things, and you would, you know, and you'd be like, yes, that's what it is. I know that's what it is. I just knew it. She confirmed it. That resonated with me because you believe it. So understand, whatever you focus on will grow. If you don't resonate with anything else in this video, know that to be true. We have, let me get to the Sun card, because I'm sure about to miss it. I don't even know how I did that. And it was to clarify the Ten of Wands. So I said this was, the Ten of Wands was the ending of a cycle, and that we would be entering a new cycle. And this is, the energy that I'm getting with the Sun is a masculine energy. And sometimes everyone has a masculine and a feminine side. And so I feel like very strongly, like maybe it's something on your in your masculine energy. And I understand you could be a female because we all have both parts energetically. That's how we're able to reincarnate and be like one gender or another. And I really feel very strongly like this is a channeled message that has came out for me, and it's really I haven't shared this with anybody yet, so feel consider yourself very honored. The fact that we do have the masculine and the feminine energy, and we can reincarnate, or we have been other things where we could have been the other gender. So if you're a woman on this timeline, you could have been a man, or the next timeline you could be a man. We can be in more one energy than another, and so I believe that's where homosexuality comes from, because people are more aligned to one energy than another, and absolutely no judgment. I mean, you can balance those out if you want to, or you can stay in one or the other, because it's all about free will. But I feel very strongly that people who are homosexual are more enlightened than heterosexuals. And the reason why I say that is because they have had to really face themselves. And they've had to get to the place where they had to come out. I mean, it's not like, you were born one race or another, and you're clearly that. I mean, there's no hiding that. You cannot hide what race, ethnicity, or whatever you are. You can, however, hide being gay. So in order to come out and not give a damn about what people think, say, feel about you, there is freedom in that. And so I feel like people who are homosexual are more enlightened and naturally more conscious and aware than heterosexuals are, because they've had to be in that energy early on in life. So that is my channeled message. So I do feel like we are working on, as a collective human consciousness, we have been healing our masculine energy. I feel like the masculine energy has been very damaged because as a whole, when we were raised as kids, little boys were taught that they were not allowed to cry or show emotions or feelings. So I do feel like this masculine aspect is something that's being healed right now. And it starts with us, and we can even, like females, a woman can actually heal her masculine energy. And you want to do this because we're here to learn these things, and we're here to clear stuff. And as we do that, we're raising the vibrations of the planet as well as light workers, because if you're watching my video, you're more than likely a light worker. And that's what your purpose is to raise the vibrations of the planet. We have the moon card, and the moon card is all about those illusions. So I do feel like these illusions here are the fears, because fears are illusions. And the reason why I say fears are illusions, and I had somebody go in hard on me on one of my videos. What if I tied you up and tortured you? Would you be scared then? Fear, the feeling of fear, is not real anyway. Because remember when I said that people cannot make you feel one way or another? Because that starts with you. So your response to something that you're scared of, once again, you're giving away your power. Nothing and nobody should make you feel some kind of way. So that's why it's an illusion. We have the dog card. And basically when I got this, I feel like this goes with that gift that the universe is trying to give you, that gift of self, of being a companion to yourself. Because dogs, to me, symbolize companionship. And remember when I said that when you have that relationship with self, I'm sorry, my video is a little lengthy today. I had a lot of messages come out. I hope you don't mind. When you have that relationship with yourself, it is the most beautiful relationship in the world. It is the most important relationship you'll ever have. So start being your own companion. Start being your own best friend. That is the message I'm getting with that card. So let me read this postcard oracle. What a beautiful messages came out today. This was amazing. Dearest you, we have something exciting to share with you. You're a manifesting master and you don't even know it. There will always be enough of everything you need in your life. Money, opportunities, love, kindness. So whatever you're asking guidance about, have faith and be open to the many ways in which you will experience prosperity. Spirit is the source of your supply. The universe is always reflecting back to you what you believe. So whenever you fall into insecurity, you will be shown an illusion as if your fear were real. But the truth is that the universe is abundant. You are and always have been enough, and abundance is your natural state. If you can imagine something consistently as truth, you can and will create it. I swear to God, didn't I say that? I have not read this yet. You are so on the right path. Keep believing, then the seeing happens, loving you more and more every day. Let me read that sentence again. That was amazing. You are and always have been enough, and abundance is your natural state. If you can imagine something consistently as truth, you can and will create it, because the stories you tell yourself are true. I love this reading. I love this reading. This was my favorite one I've done all week. So if you would like to have a personal reading to see what's blocking you, or if you would like to make an energy donation, I'll include that in the description of the video. Thank you for watching.